Yes, guys, and welcome to Mindset Mastery session 46. Thanks for being here, guys. As always, I say that on the podcast, but I want to say it to you guys as well, because Mindset Mastery and Unbreakable is absolutely nothing without you guys. It simply doesn't exist. So just a thank you from me today to start today's session, and I'm massively looking forward to seeing all of you in person that are coming to the event on September the 13th. So following on from last night's live Q&A, the theme throughout the whole Q&A, for those people who were on it, was that whether it's family members or themselves, that people are struggling to handle failure, setbacks and disappointments. And they are tough. I've had more than most, which is probably why I've become an expert at dealing with them. Because most failure, setbacks and disappointments, everything from careers and relationships ending to, injury and being dropped from a sports team through to, financial adversity and crises and everything in between. 99.9% of them are unavoidable. So that means if we want to live a world-class life, then we're going to have to get pretty good at learning to handle and learning to reframe failure, setbacks and disappointments. So most people don't struggle because they don't have the tools. And in order to move forward, we're going to have to learn to reframe failure so that we can stay empowered and that we can stay in the fight. Because if we don't stay empowered and we don't stay in the fight, every time that we hit some form of roadblock or obstacle or adversity or failure, then we're going to keep getting out of the ring. And if we're not in the ring, then we're never going to be in the fight. So, as I've said, we've coached very often before on most people don't have an information problem, they have an implementation problem. So it's not that you don't know what to do, it's that you're not doing what you know, which is the same as not knowing at all. So, but on top of that, you might say, okay, so I have the information and I understand that. And now I'm nailing the implementation. So I've got the knowledge and I'm doing the work. But then the struggle comes when we hit roadblocks, when we hit rumble strips, as I called them. And you have to remember, what does a rumble strip do when you hit it? Wakes you up, and then you have to course correct. Because if you don't get the wake up call and course correct, then you're going to go flying into the central reservation and die. So let's get straight into it. One of the main reasons people struggle is because every time something, I love this phrase, knocks your duck off, it's a very Yorkshire phrase, isn't it? People can't handle it and then they give up. So learning how to handle situations when things don't go your way and reframe failure or treat perceived failure as feedback is one of the most important things that you can start to understand if you want to move towards success. So some examples, okay? So the check-in isn't perfect. The scale weight didn't move. You have a huge unexpected financial bill. You get injured. A client leaves. You waste a load of money on a business investment that didn't work out. You miss the goal. You don't win the competition. People have a meltdown. That's it, I'm not competing again because I didn't win. This is rife in physique and bodybuilding competitions because everybody thinks they're going to win. I never understand it. They blast all over their social media that, it's their road to the pro card, even though it's their third competition and, X, Y, and Z, or they set the bar that high and I'm all for self-belief and everything in between. But sometimes the expectation that people set is also the problem rather than just staying quiet and being humble and doing the work. And then when the disappointment comes, they then feel that they have to do some long post about how, I didn't win, but, I brought the best version of myself and I'm disappointed and I've let people down. That's not the way it should work. Straight away, we should be looking, why didn't I win? What was the lesson? What can I take away? Where can I get better? Where's the gap? Where can I improve? Not apologizing for not winning. If you're going to apologize every time you don't win, then you're going to spend a lot of time apologizing. because you're not going to win every day. And this is what I need people to understand. You can't have a meltdown every time things go wrong, every time an advertising campaign doesn't work, every time a client leaves, every time the scale doesn't move, every time you get injured, every time anything. You can't have a meltdown every time, because you'll spend half your life having a meltdown. And the biggest thing that I see holding so many of you back, and it was very apparent in that meeting on Thursday night, is that you don't know how to navigate failure. And you either get ridiculously angry and pissed off. Remember, being angry is like drinking poison and expecting the other person or the situation to die. They won't, you will. The only person that suffers when you get angry is yourself. Same with revenge. Never seek revenge unless you want to dig two graves, because it will hurt both people. So the difference between winners and quitters is that winners know how to navigate failure and keep going. So what actually happens when you hit failure, when you suffer a setback, when you're hit with huge disappointment? Well, it only ever comes from expectations. So you might have had an expectation that you were going to win. I might have an expectation that I'm such a fucking incredible coach that nobody's ever going to leave. I might have an expectation that that client's going to sign up and pay for another year. I might have expectations in my partner. I might have expectations in my business. I might have expectations for myself. And the quickest way to not experience that is actually not to have any expectations. Because if you don't have an expectation, then they can't be unmet. But in reality, that's probably never going to happen, because we will all have expectations. It's mental. But in the short term, one of the quickest ways to not ever be disappointed by another person is to not ever have any expectation of them. If I don't have an expectation of how long a client's going to stay, then I can't possibly be disappointed when they leave. If I don't have an expectation that the scales are going to move every single Sunday, ladies, then I'm not going to be disappointed every single Sunday. If I don't have an expectation that my partner should be a certain way and that their pictures of the world should align with my pictures of the world in order for me to be okay, then I'm not going to get disappointed or upset with my partner. So this is the kind of, just knocked all my notes off. So this is what happens. This is actually what happens. This is the cycle. So we have an expectation, and then that expectation or that outcome is unmet. And that leads to an emotional meltdown. And that emotional meltdown spirals you into the victim mentality that we talked about last week. If you haven't yet watched last week's training, stop this now and go back and watch the victim and the warrior mindset training, because it will move on. So what happens is, let's take a body transformation as an example, right? So people start off strong. Some people even feel the need to declare to the world, this is my time. I'm making myself publicly accountable on my Instagram and my Facebook that I'm going to win this competition, or I'm going to lose this weight, or I'm going to make this amount of money. Don't do that for a start, because you're setting yourself up for failure and putting unnecessary pressure on yourself. Do it for you. Do it for the internal, not the external. But they start tracking food, and they start training, and they start getting up early, and they're doing the mindset work, and they're being accountable, and they're posting in the Facebook group, and they're building momentum, and they've lost some weight, and they're feeling better, and then bam! Something goes wrong. They hurt their Achilles. They cut their hand. They get concussed. One of the kids is off school. The husband has a motorbike accident. Random examples there that just came straight to my head, by the way. And they have a complete meltdown. It could be even more simple. It could just be the scale doesn't change. Oh my God, I'm devastated. I went to the gym this week for 5 times. I tracked my food Monday to Friday, jumped on the scale Saturday morning, it hasn't moved. Or they do a social media post. with my business clients, I've seen this so often. I've sent 7 emails this week. I've done 7 social media posts. I've showed up on my stories every day and no one signed up. Instagram's dead. Email marketing doesn't work. You've sold me a lie. Nobody wants to work with me. Online coaching's over. No one's going to want to book a videographer ever again. It must be the weather's fault. It must be the cost of living. It must be my ex's fault. It must be the kid's fault. And we go into this blame. Like, because you had an expectation. Like, you didn't think, oh, I'm going to do this social media post because it might help somebody today. And if I help somebody today, they might reach out and ask me to help them because I gave them some value. And I actually, whether someone joined or not, I contributed to the world. Or I went to the gym and I ate healthy because I love and respect my body and I'm making an effort to move forward and treat myself with kindness and compassion. No, it was all related to either making the sale or the scales dropping. So sometimes you can then get some bad news and then you stop doing those things as a result of getting the bad news. Well, the bad news doesn't become good news because you stop going to the gym. So instead of adjusting to adversity, instead of adjusting to a situation, instead of adjusting to an expectation not being met, we go into full meltdown. We go straight into victim mood. Why does this always happen to me? Oh, what's the fucking point? Maybe it's just not for me. The amount of people have said that to me over the years. I've just decided this isn't for me. Okay, so going to the gym, being accountable, working on your mindset and being healthy isn't for you. What is for you? Being a fat, lazy shit who eats crap and goes to the pub every weekend because it's easier. If that's your life and that's your choice, that's fine. You go for it. You crack on. But I guarantee you I've tried it and it doesn't work. What you mean is, this is getting tough. I've been punched in the face a couple of times. I didn't like the way it made me feel, so I'm going to quit so I don't have to get punched in the face again. And this is what I want you to take away from this session today. You resist the setback instead of leaning into it, instead of learning from it, instead of thinking, right, I showed up on my stories 7 times this week and I didn't get in any interaction and I didn't make any sales. Let's look into why. Who could I look at that's doing well? What are they doing different to me? What can I learn? What can I learn from what didn't work? That's one of the greatest things you can ever do. Failure is feedback. What did I learn from what didn't work and how can I do it differently? The same with setbacks. How many times have you heard me say this? Remember these 4 words. What, why, lesson, apply. What happened? Why did it happen? What was the lesson? And how can I apply it moving forwards? Not what happened? Why poor old me? I quit. So when we resist setbacks, instead of leaning into them, instead of learning from them, that's when we go into blame, complain, justifying. And many people quit altogether because they can't handle the way that they feel when they fail. They can't handle the feeling of disappointment because it reminds them of their biggest fear, which I discussed on last week's podcast, and everybody's biggest fear, which is that we're not enough, and as a result, we won't be loved and we'll be excluded. But here's the kicker. Sometimes it's easier just to say, oh, it's because I'm not good enough. That's not true. That's a lie. You just didn't work hard enough. And you didn't like the way it made you feel when you didn't succeed first time. So you got out of the ring. And we're going to build all of this into a boxing example that you'll remember for the rest of your life, especially coming from a man who's been punched in the face more times I can remember. So these situations lead to 2 dangerous reactions. Okay? One is you start quitting as soon as things get hard. That's what happens with 9 out of 10 people that leave this program. Deep down, it's not that they don't believe in me, they don't think the coaching works, or that health and fitness isn't for them, or that they don't have the headspace right now, or that they can't afford it. Every single one of these fuckers costs nearly $2,000. So not anyone can really be telling me that they can't afford coaching. What they really mean is, it got tough, I'm a pussy, I quit. And if that hurts, with love, good. Because if you keep quitting every time things get hard, one, you're going to develop the identity of being a quitter, and two, you're never going to go anywhere. And this is what happens. And this is the boxing analogy that I want to use. Most people want to get in the ring and they want to become a great boxer, but they don't ever want to get punched in the fucking face. Never ever going to happen. But what the dangerous side is people either won't get in the ring because they're too afraid of getting punched in the face, or every time they get punched in the face, they'll get out of the ring. So you'll never ever move forward. So you either quit when things get hard, or you avoid action altogether to avoid future disappointment and the feeling of that you're not enough. You know, I always use that example. Like if you're single, right, and you fancy lots of girls, but you never ask any of those girls out because you have a belief that they're all out of your league and that you're not good enough to date them, and that might be something that happened from a previous relationship or even something that happened as a child, then you're never in the ring. So you're never going to be in a relationship. But then if you also then go, right, I'm going to get in the ring, but I'm willing to hear like no, like 10 times, then I'm just getting out of the ring, because fuck that. Okay? Get in the ring and throw 100 punches and be willing to hit back and be hit back 100 times. And then one punch gets through and that's the knockout. But if you want to get out every time it gets tough, then you'll never ever get anywhere. So you can't hit a setback and quit. And here's the reality, right? If you're not facing setbacks, you're not playing big enough. If you're not facing challenge, you're not playing big enough. If you are living a life where you have no setbacks, no failure, no disappointment, no adversity, and no challenges, I predict your life is fucking boring and miserable, because you're not even trying. Better to have tried and failed than not tried at all. Because guess what? If you didn't try at all, you've already failed. If you didn't ask the girl, you failed. If you asked her and she said no, well, at least you can be proud of yourself for trying. So that's when it goes into these childish tantrums. But that's it, I'm done. I don't have the headspace. No one's ever going to want to be with me. I'm not good enough. I can't lose weight. Everyone in the world's bad. Yada, 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 yada. So the second part is actually worse than quitting, though, because there's nothing worse than not even trying in the first place. You know, that's what Tim Grosvenor, Michael Jordan's coach, finally said. You know, if you think the cost of failure is too high, wait until you get the bill from regret, because that's generational. Like, there's only one thing that I don't want to have when I die, and that's I don't want to have regrets. I don't want to be sat talking to my son saying, oh my God, Daddy could have been so much in life, but guess what? He didn't try because he was afraid. Daddy could have done so well in business, but every time it got tough, he gave up. Daddy could have achieved this and given you this incredible life, but every time he got tough, he went back to the job. Fuck that. I don't want to live with regrets. I would rather live with failure than to live regrets. Cam's nodding, so it's good. So if you think quitting is worse than not even trying in the first place, but some of you are that afraid of failure, you're that afraid of feeling disappointed, you're that afraid of rejection or being told no, that you avoid action completely. You don't even try because it's safer, and that's not your fault. We're hardwired for safety. We're hardwired for survival. We're not hardwired to overcome fear and go through pain time and time again. So your body and your mind will try and keep you safe. You have to override them. But both of those paths lead to nowhere. And both of those paths will keep you stuck. I said this before, those two paths will keep you stuck, but the two other things that will keep you stuck is, one, as long as you continue to blame someone else for why you are the way you are or where you are, you will always stay stuck. And anything you can't say thank you for will always keep you stuck. That's the same as the lesson. Rather than saying, oh, why did this happen to me? What did I learn? What a reframe that is. Why did this happen to me? What did I learn? How am I going to apply it? So you need to understand, listen to this so carefully, right? Because the key to understanding this is reframing the setback. Like, what are you making it mean? Something only means the way that you make it mean. So it's not what happened, it's what you make it mean. And you know this, we can focus on what's happened or what we want to have happened. But if you can change your interpretation and your perception of what's happening, then that will change your life. So you could change it, you could make it as you can have the perception that he dumped me because I'm not good enough and I'm not worthy of love. Or you could make it that he dumped me because he's not good enough for me. He didn't make my expectations. And now thank God he did, because he's made space for someone else in my life who is truly going to value me. That's perception. Like, it's only disappointing if you make it disappointing. It's only disappointing if you give it that meaning. You can give it the meaning of being a setback or a lesson, as being failure or feedback, of being a win or a loss. It comes down to your interpretation. And when you can change your interpretation of what failure, disappointment and setbacks mean to you, then you can change your life. So listen to this. And these were two of the examples that Jackie and Jan, you gave us last night in the training, which was amazing. So failure is a perceived thought and not a fact. I'll say that again. Failure is a perceived thought and not a fact. So, Jackie, when you spoke about your son being dropped from the football team, Jan, you spoke about the unexpected bills for dental health. Multiple people have spoken about the disappointment of jumping on the scales and not losing weight. All of those three things are events. Events that you don't control and that you can't avoid. It's not the events that hurt you, it's the meaning that you give to them. So we're going to go through a powerful journey and exercise now, because the meaning that you attach to events will either make you or break you. I then told the story in the train last night about how when I got dropped from hitching because I was being a cocky little shit, I then went on to play one of the best games of rugby of my life in the game when I was reinstated into the team, because I didn't want to lose my place in the team and I didn't want to lose my brotherhood, and I used it as a lesson to, right, why did I get dropped? This is what I need to change. Right, I'm now going to show them why I'm worthy of this place. So this powerful journeying exercise, you'll hopefully take this away and be able to implement it. So again, it comes down to expectations. So what we say is, if I do this, might be train well, show up on my stories every week, show my partner more love and affection, work some extra hours, whatever it is, and this doesn't happen, I lose weight, she returns the love and affection, I make more money, then I will feel like I'm not good enough. But take all of those out. So if I do this, insert the thing, and this doesn't happen, insert the expectation, then I will feel like, insert the emotion. So you could say, if I do this, if I ask the girl out on a date and she doesn't say yes, then I will feel proud of myself for having the balls and the confidence to ask her in the first place. If I ask the girl out and she doesn't say yes, it means I'm ugly and nobody will ever love me. Same thing, different perception, different meaning. So, and then I will feel that, and I will probably. And then I will feel like I'm not good enough, and I will probably never be happy and in a relationship. And I will feel that she just wasn't the one for me, and that I'm going to keep asking until I get a yes. So the sentence reveals the identity link that's sabotaging your progress. So you're attaching the failure to your identity. You're making it about you. And when you compare that equals despair. So comparison to the vision is what creates disappointment. So again, a great way to get out of this is to learn to skillfully measure backwards. So what we're saying is that has to happen. That, compared to what I believe was right, that has to happen. She has to say yes in order for me to feel like I'm good enough. And if not, I'm not asking anyone out ever again, because I don't ever want to feel that way. It's completely out of my control whether she says yes or not. But guess what? I'm fucking proud of myself for strutting across that room and having the fucking kahunas to ask the question. So when it is unavoidable, we can then learn to skillfully measure backwards, as I said, though, because it's whether what actually happens aligns with the vision that normally creates the disappointment, which is the expectation, right? So what people do is, this is Rob Blackburn. If you're ever watching this, I remember this from you. Rob coaches a lot of professional footballers on their confidence and their performance mentally. And he said, all I hear is a lot of shouldas. I should be here by now. I should be here. I should be this. I should be that. I should be this. And he says, no, you should be exactly where you should be. You should be exactly where you are, based on the effort and the time that you've invested so far. So again, I use a brutal example of that when I said, right, go and take off all your clothes right now, strip down, butt naked, and go and get your phone and bring up this is a brutal exercise, and bring up your online banking on your phone and go and get your butt naked body in front of the mirror and look at that bank balance. That actually shows the amount of time that you've invested into your physical and mental health, physical and financial health. It's there in black and white. You can't say, oh, I should be in great shape, or I should be a millionaire. You shouldn't. You should be exactly where you are. But the reason why you probably drop off is because you compare yourself to where you want to be and then get frustrated that you didn't get there as quick as you wanted to. So what we do is, this is called living in the shit zone. So one of the biggest issues is people compare where they are now to where they think they should be and where they want to be. And that might be a big gap. So focusing on that gap isn't going to help. We need to focus on, what's the one thing I need to do today to move forwards? What's the LNS, the logical next step? Okay, it might just be a gym session. It might just be to get rid of some unnecessary spending. It might be to spend an extra hour on sales and marketing. It might be to get up 1 hour earlier next week and go for a walk and get your steps in. Like, if you just keep thinking about how far you are away from the thing that you want, that's a surefire way to still feel shit. But also, so when the present moment doesn't match your big vision, you feel like a failure. I'm not where I want to be, so I'm a failure. Well, instead, sometimes look back. Like, you guys, I showed you this, guys, when I did the wins post. Like, I was rating myself on one number for success this year, and that was the bottom line profit in my business. It didn't align with where I set out in January, so everything's fucking bad in the world. And then in 10 minutes of looking through my phone, I found 50 epic wins and did a post on it that inspired hundreds of people and got hundreds of likes and comments. Okay? Where you're focusing will create how you're feeling. So if you're focusing on the failures, the setbacks and the disappointments, oh, I'm focusing on this unexpected van breakdown bill that's cost me a fortune, or I'm focusing on, fucking hell, if I really double down in this area of my business, I could probably make enough money to cover that bill 3 times over. Or the unexpected healthcare bill, or the unexpected pet bill. Trust me, if you've got fucking pets, you've got fucking cars, and you've got fucking houses, don't know why I needed to say fucking in front of all them, but let's fucking roll with it, then you're always going to have expenses in those areas. They're always going to cost you money. Don't even get me started on kids. Okay? Like, it's going to happen. So if you get completely devastated every time something goes wrong with your car, your house, your kid or your dog, and you have to pay for it, then you're going to be constantly disappointed. So you can either prepare for it or you can reframe what it means to you. Because most financial situations, if people spent as much time worrying about what's happened as they did worrying about how to fix it and make more money, then they would be in a completely different place. So even when you discussed this last night, you can focus on the unexpected dental bill, or you can focus on how to double your income next month and wipe the dental bill out and have a juicy cherry on top. So, that should really help. And that's the reframe, okay? We can focus on what's happened or what we want to have happen, but also remember how far you've come. A great way to master failure, setbacks and disappointment is remember what you've already overcome. Like, I might be struggling right now. Yeah, but I ran 200 miles without stopping. 200 fucking miles, okay? Oh, this month has been so low. I know, but I did 3 times this month back in January. What was I doing differently in January that I'm not doing now? What's the world showing me? What's the universe showing me? Where can, not rather than how can I fix what's happened, how can I show up harder so I don't have to worry about what's happened? Because I'm that focused on where I'm going that I forgot about what's happened. Or I focus on what I've already achieved to make me understand that I'm not a failure. So, focus on progress and not perfection. Focus on progress and not perfection. Focus on the journey, not the destination. Focus on what you have done well, not what's not gone well. Because you can't control the setbacks, but you can control your response. And that's your responsibility. Responsibility, if you reverse the word, is your ability to respond. Okay? How do I respond when failure shows up? I say, fuck you, failure. Give me some more because I know there's going to be lessons and I'm going to move forward. Or, oh, here you are, failure again. My old friend, I'm not good enough, so I'm going to stop trying. You can't control the setback or the disappointment, but you can control the response. So shift from what happened to what do I want to have happen next? And that's where you take your power back. When you can't control what's happening to you, but you can control how you respond to it, that's where your power's at. So take your power back. You can't undo being dropped from the sports team. You can't undo the van breaking down. You can't undo the relationship ending. You can't undo the unexpected dental bill. You can't undo showing up hard on your socials all week and not getting a single client. But what you can do is control how you respond to it. Control your energy. Control your response. Control your emotions. Control your habits. Control your focus. Stop focusing on what's happened and start focusing on what you want to have happen. So, the boxing analogy. This is what I want to leave you guys with. You cannot win a fight without getting punched. You cannot win a fight without getting in the ring. You cannot win a fight by getting out of the ring every time you get punched. Winners are willing to get punched and get back up. They're willing to stay in the ring when it feels like there's no way out. So if you want to win, you have to accept this truth. You cannot win a fight without getting hit. You will get punched. You will get knocked down. But the winner isn't the person that avoids the punches. The winner isn't the person that blames and complains when they get punched. The winner is the person who's willing to get hit and they just keep fucking swinging. That's how you win. When you face failure, you face disappointment, you face setbacks, you fucking hit back. You keep punching back. That's life and that's how you win. So I'm going to leave you guys with some practical examples and some framing. So a failed check-in isn't failure. It's feedback that you ain't fucking working hard enough, princess. Accept it, okay? A lost client isn't failure. it's alignment. That person on that sales call who didn't join, or that person who decided to leave my plan because they don't have the headspace for being healthy right now, isn't a failure on my part. They don't align with my values, my mission, and where I'm going. Okay? Rejection isn't failure, it's redirection. So that man or woman rejecting you isn't failure, it's redirection to the man or the woman that you're meant to be with. Okay? Like, I could have 3 clients quit in a week like I have this week. And of course it hurts. I'm fucking human. I want to help everyone. I want everyone to stay. I want to build the biggest team. But essentially, none of those 3 people that quit were part of the team anyway. You guys are all watching this training. Name the 3 people that have quit this week. You don't know who they are. Why? Because they're lurkers. They weren't doing the work. They weren't posting their workouts. They weren't showing up in the group. They weren't being accountable. So they left. So they can go back to the pub, sit on their asses, drinking beer and eating pizza, complaining about how life's different for them. So I can focus on that, or I can reframe it. They weren't ready. They weren't good enough to be part of Unbreakable. They didn't have the standards. They didn't have the discipline. They didn't have the mindset. They didn't have the work ethic. And that's on them, not me. They quit because my standards were too high. And I don't know about you, but I'm not willing to ever fucking drop my standards because somebody else is not willing to raise theirs. Never do that in life. I will never ever drop the standards or the accountability of this group because people can't step up and raise theirs. That's what an epic peer group is. That's what a brotherhood is. That's what the army is. That's what a great rugby team is. You either fucking raise your standards to fit in or you fuck off. End of. But you don't fucking lower your standards because your partner, business, intimate, or anyone else isn't willing to raise theirs, or your friendship group. Fuck that. That's a one-way road to misery. Okay? So you can make it about me, or you can make it about you. You can make it about yourself, or you can make it about them. But either way, blaming yourself isn't going to help. Okay? So I can make it, I'm not a great coach, that's why they left, or thank God they've left because they weren't really showing up, they were never going to get results, and now I've got space for people who are. The same in a relationship. He didn't leave because he didn't love me and I wasn't good enough. He was a fucking idiot, and thank God that relationship's ended because I've just finally realised how fucking terrible and toxic it was, and now I've got someone who's a space to meet someone who's going to treat me with the love and respect that I deserve. Same situations, different meaning. Stop making it about you. That's your ego. Same event, completely different energy. And that is how powerful reframing is. So the next time something fucking hits you in the stomach, hits you in the bollocks, hits you in the ovaries, I'm being PC, reframe it. Okay? Reframing is so powerful, and you don't do it by making it about yourself. The meaning that you give to it is what creates the pain of the situation. So you can change that meaning and turn it into purpose. Any negative can be turned into a positive. Right, I'll even test you guys who are in Unbreakable Elite, the WhatsApp group where we all talk, not Mindset Mastery. Post a single situation in there, a setback, a failure, or a disappointment, and I guarantee in roughly 5 seconds, I will reframe it and I'll turn it into a positive. But you have to be willing to do that. And if you're not, it's because you're still attached to your old identity and you'd rather keep telling the story about how it's different for you. Okay? So, final takeaways for you guys. You will never ever succeed without failure, setback, and disappointment. So embrace them, lean in, treat them as feedback. If you're not experiencing failure, setbacks, and disappointment in life, you're not playing big enough. And setbacks don't define you. How you respond to them defines you. And if you're not facing failure and setbacks and disappointment, if you're not getting punched in the face, if you're not experiencing rejection, then you're not playing big enough. You're not growing. You're not showing up. You're hiding. You're lurking. So the next time something knocks you down, either use it as an example to step up or stop making it about you. But don't turn it into a story of unworthiness. Turn it into a decision to keep swinging harder. Turn it into a decision to get back up, get back in the ring, figure out why you keep getting punched, and learn how to punch harder. So I'm going to leave you guys with some questions and some action steps as always. So these are this week's 5 world-class questions. What setback, failure, or disappointment are you still holding on to? Journal it, find the lesson, let it go. What are you making it mean about you? And how can you change this? What's the meaning that you can give it that will empower you to move forwards? What do you want to have happen next? And how can you take one step towards that today? And how would the version of you who doesn't quit handle this situation? They will all be in the notes in the training as well. So your action steps are also use that journal loop that I created for you. This can make the most complex of head fucked, disappointment, setback, failure, rejection situations become very simple. So if I do this, insert the action, and this doesn't happen, insert the outcome that you're looking for. It means this, insert how it makes you feel about yourself, and then I will feel, insert the emotion that you're experiencing. As an example for you guys for this to make sense, okay? If I go to the gym 5 times this week and I haven't lost at least 3 pounds on Sunday morning, it means that I'm not good enough and that it must be my thyroid, and that I will feel completely disappointed and like I'm not good enough. If I go to the gym 5 times this week and I don't see a change on the scales, this means that I just need to work harder for longer. And when I do, I'll feel proud of myself for pushing through the disappointment, showing up and stepping up my work rate. See how different that is. And this week, just reframe one situation at a time. So like as a task now, reframe one major setback you've had this year and list 5 positive meanings you could give to it. If you don't do that, you're not willing to do that, and you can't do that, you are locked in victim mindset. And you would rather play the victim and make it about you than look at how you move forwards. Because whatever major setback you've had this year, there are lessons in it. You just need to be willing to look hard enough. Every single situation, no matter how bad, has a lesson and a gift in it, if you're willing to look for it. Commit to replacing one negative story with a positive action. So rather than telling the story about what happened and why it was negative and how it made you feel, replace that with an action that you can take to make you feel good. And guys, just to wrap this up, always remember, gratitude is always the answer. Why were you grateful for the setback? And as we always say, wealth is nothing more than a feeling of abundance that's triggered by gratitude. So we can be grateful for the setbacks, the failure and disappointment. We can pull the lessons out and we can move forward. Because guess what? Setbacks, failures and disappointments are signs that you're showing up, signs that you're growing, and they're signs that you're still in the ring. Don't get out of the ring, swing back harder. Guys, I love you all. Have the best day.